David, I don't even know what your take was, but Travis said to pull you, so I did. So you better fucking bring the heat.
Well, you want me to talk about content or that this is the best LCS season in the franchise
I don't
era?
fucking care. You're supposed. Travis said to pull you.
Okay,
Heat pressure's on.
all good.
And David is here. David, remind me how you pronounce your last name again.
Shy knock, like you're very shy and you're knocking on somebody's door.
Okay, thank you. How for those that don't know, Mark, have you seen David's TikToks where he goes to, was it Washington Square Park?
Yep, right down by MOU.
And holds a sign and asks them about League of Legends and esports stuff, Mark?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of them. It's a series he's doing. There's a new one as well. Anyway, you're from New York. That's what you're going to tell us, right, David?
Yes, sir.
Okay, calling from New York. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
This is the best regular season of LCS that we've had in the entirety of the franchise era.
Regular season?
Regular season, so not excluding playoffs, just like regular season, regular game or regular whatever you want to call them, regular season matches, best of ones prior to playoffs.
Are you a CLG fan?
I am not. I am a 100 Thieves fan.
Well,
Really? But you
I
were
guess
wearing
that makes sense.
TL stuff in that. I feel like I've mostly seen you in TL merch.
I am trying to get every single team's jersey for the sake of content. I currently have TL, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, and then Optic, may they rest in peace.
There's probably a couple that you should try to get soon because I'm worried. I don't know how much longer some of these brands are going to be in the LCS. But okay, so anyway, so regular. This is the best regular season, so not including playoffs. So we can't talk about spring playoffs or summer playoffs. Is that
Nope.
the rules here?
Yep.
It's regular season, Travis. Come
Okay.
on.
And since franchising started, which was 2018.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the past 4 years. 2018, yeah, 5 years. Okay. Why is that, David?
I think this is arguably the most competitive that we've seen the top 5 teams in the LCS in a manner that's not typical to the last 2 or 3 years where you'll see a lot of teams falling off in the final weeks. It feels like we're having more teams stepping up towards the end than we're seeing the latter. Obviously, FlyQuest, had kind of a down week this past week, but they're sitting on the outside relatively in 6th. C9 sitting at 5th as well, but with TL, CLG, 100 Thieves, and EG all sitting pretty respectably at the top. We have not seen this level of competition. I can't honestly think of when. On top of that, you have massive improvements to the LCS broadcast with all the new segments that are coming. The live in-game voice comms are phenomenal. All the content they've been putting out is great. We've just seen an overall ramp up of the broadcast, of the games, everything in regards to the regular season that we just have not seen since the franchise era began.
Okay, so I will let's do these first 2 things, and then I'll throw it over to Mark. One thing I was thinking about as you were saying this is something that I thought about this past weekend, and then again whenever Mark and I were talking at the start of the show about CLG and 100T and EG being at the top. If you screenshotted the current standings for the top 5 in the LCS, and you said this is 1 week before the last week of regular season, or going into the last week of regular season, and you sent it back in time by like a year or so, I think people would be shocked. Like it is fascinating to me that what we like. It's I almost. I
mean, you
want to
have
say
to-
like old guard is gone. It's all new guard, but like CLG is the old guard, but then they've stopped being the old guard for a while. I don't know how you want to describe it, but the fact that you have EG 100T and then CLG tied up with TL,
Well,
Cloud9
I think
and TSM off. Like I do think that it is a very new era in the LCS.
I was gonna say you don't even need to send it back a year, because if you send it back a year, anything can happen. Like maybe CLG balls out and spends all that money. You send it back 4 months is what I would do. Like middle of spring split, you would be on drugs if anyone told you that CLG makes one roster move and goes from like what were they 8th or 9th into a 3rd. EG, who was at that point, they were like 9 and
They
9.
were very. It felt like they were not fulfilling the promise for almost all the spring. Yeah.
Yeah, spring regular season, they were not impressive. So then they're 12 and 3. C9's falling off a cliff. Team Liquid's like still fine. 100 Thieves is good. You would believe that stuff. But yeah.
So I think
you.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, you go.
don't sound so angry. I think that it is just very exciting because this kind of feels like when it's funny because I think this actually might have long term hurt LAC viewership, but I do think it was really exciting when like Mad Lions and what was it Rogue?
Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super popped off one split and all of a sudden they were like passing G2 and Fnatic, and I think that is really cool, and I do think the CLG redemption, and we'll see how long it progresses, but for now it feels very good. And the fact that the teams that are winning, like this was like the bigger thing too that I was thinking about this weekend. Look at EG 100T CLG. 100T is a core of like players from Golden Guardians sort of development roster a while ago that have been brought up, and obviously you have Abdaga and Someday there, but like that is not the let's go get perks or bring Bjergsen out of retirement roster. You have CLG, which is just in any year I feel like you show people like this lineup of players on CLG and give them like, oh yeah, this guy was in academy, or yeah, this guy had like a short stint in 100T and Mark made fun of him on the broadcast and all that stuff. Like you would definitely be like, okay, these guys are going to be like 7th to 10th. And then you have EG, which has like Jojo and Danny and what the whole any talent thing, like it's overly memed or whatever. Like it's just, I am starting to feel like it is no longer going to be just go hire the big imports or like the big names that have been in the LCS long-standing veterans, and then you win, which is kind of
Do
like
you
what
know who
these
you
other
have to
teams
thank for that, Travis? We
do.
had him on the show. You made fun of him.
Did I make fun of him? What,
You
Greg
made fun
Kim?
of Greg Kim.
I
He
didn't make
said
fun. Kelby
you
made fun of him.
you made fun of him too. Kelby went the hardest, but the like what? Why should we believe in? I don't know if you remember this episode, but like right when
Of
EG.
course, I remember the episode. It was like the one
No,
that
I'm saying to fans. I don't know if
Oh,
fans remember this episode, but Greg King came on. I forget what his title was with EG. Right when like EG was
competitive.
head of something, whatever. And you know, he came in there and he was saying how great they're going to be, and we were like, well, why should we believe in you? Like, what's EG going to do different? He was like, we got a lot of smart people. We've just got so much good, intelligent people working on the team, and that was it. And Kelby was like, you can't just tell us that you're going to be smarter than everyone else because you hired smarter people. Sure enough, EG wins the championship. Greg Kim, fair enough, dipped out in the between splits to get hired over to CLG, and now CLG is pushing top 3.
There's a couple other people that I would give credit to. I want to spread it out too. I think Kelsey Moser.
No.
I think Kelsey Moser did a decent amount of good work whenever she was in a lot of these places, and she was at EG as they were building up this roster last year and working on like the more rookie development side. And then the other person who I think is worth mentioning is Jonathan Kamikaze Platypus. He's the GM at CLG, and he was at Golden Guardians and helped build some of their good programs as well. So I think there's like a small crew of people that had for a while been betting on NA talent and development and not rushing out and like grabbing, import talent and all that stuff, or at least not in the ways that some of the big teams were. And I feel like a lot of those individuals are starting to see the fruits of their labor pay off.
Peter
like,
Dunn?
2 years later. Peter Dunn was good.
One Mr. Peter Dunn as well. Yeah,
Sure.
I think there's been a lot of people who been working away behind the scenes to make sure that they are invested in NA talent. The other thing I was going to say, to go back to David's original take about how this is one of the best splits, someone mentioned the soup split, and I think this is an interesting debate that we had in the dive a little bit, which is like, I actually think splits where everything, like parity is supposed to be a good thing, but I don't think having no clear narrative is a good thing. When it's like, I think it was legitimately 6 or 7 teams that were 11-5 for the soup split, it was just like, who the fuck knows what's happening? Do any of these teams actually look good? Like, I actually don't think that's best for the league. I think you want 2 teams who are legitimately really good. If you just have one, then it puts pressure on that team to be the one who wins. But if you have 2 teams, you can build up the narrative of like, all right, 100 Thieves versus EG, who's the best? And then you want a differentiation between your top half and your bottom half. And like, Fly and C9 are kind of that, and then there's a massive drop to 7th so that you can say, hey, the teams in the top half of the league are legitimately good. Whereas if it's just like one game separation all the way down and everyone's beating everyone, it doesn't necessarily have that feel. So I think to David's point, there's been closer splits. There's been plenty of splits where like anyone can beat anyone, but I think this one's really good because I think 100 Thieves and EG are legitimately good. I think CLG has been very good, and I think that the top 6 teams all at least do some things well.
Well, I think the other thing that's been helpful too is to kind of your point, Mark. One thing that would happen in the past is you'd sometimes have, especially in recent years, you'd have the top teams just like randomly dropping games to like a mid-tier team or a bottom-tier team, and it just crashes your like narrative train when you're trying to be like, yeah, get excited for these guys, everybody tune in, and then they'll just like look like a bunch of idiots, like a bottom-tier team. And then you just start to be like, okay, well, I guess they're still good. Best of ones. Hashtag. Like it's that I don't think has happened as much this time around. I mean, you can and then even with TL's 1-on-1 stuff, that has been an interesting storyline, given that this is like a super team, even if they don't want to call it that. Like it. So I just think there's a lot of very fascinating stuff to talk about, and I like your take, David, because it is. I'm separating it from like this is the best of time of franchising, or of regular season of franchising. I have recently become far more optimistic about the LCS. I ran into Yet Wen, who's a friend of mine who works at the broadcast. Used to play for TSM way back in the day. I think he was. It was when I was talking to him, Mark. Whenever you walked out of the studio, he came by.
TSM Evo, not main roster TSM.
Yeah, I know, but TSM Evo wasn't a team of TSM. Anyway, the whole point is, it's a throwback, Mark. I didn't want to explain. Well,
people are gonna get confused.
They had this other type of team. Anyway, and he was just like, "Yeah, you've gotten randomly very positive lately," and I'm like, no. The reason I'm getting positive is because I think the teams are just on their own generating pretty interesting storylines. I wouldn't say that maybe the marketing sides of those teams or the branding side, but just the way that the games have been going on, it is a very exciting split. And I do think, moving on to the second topic, David, that you brought up, I do think the broadcast has been doing a lot better. Now, you say the broadcast is like, gotten so much better, best of franchising ever. I would say broadcast probably back to where it was in 2018 to 2019, which I think was pretty good. Like, I'm very excited because I feel like for a long time the broadcast stalled out. And we'd all go, the broadcast sucks, the broadcast sucks, the broadcast sucks, and then they'd still continue to suck. I think they are starting to stop sucking, and that has been what has gotten me excited.
Wow, dude, Travis, you really have gone so positive. They've started to stop sucking. We haven't even stopped sucking necessarily, but we've started to stop sucking.
Yeah, you're climbing out of the suck, and I've been happy for you guys. You're making
same
some
with
good
TGI,
decisions.
dude. I feel like TGI sucked for so long.
I mean, I agree with you. It's been a tough couple of years. The content's gotten a lot better in the past couple of weeks.
I'll agree with that, man.
There's a difference between TGI and Riot Games in terms of scope and scale and productivity and access to players and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if it's a fair enough comparison, but I do agree that all of us are starting to get better, and I'm excited about it.
Raz in chat, Hotline League has sadly not started to stop sucking. I think when the COVID years hit, there were a lot of things going on all at once that combined to make the broadcast, and I have said this many times, not great. And so it's been a lot better, but I also think, like, even to your point, like comparing it to other years, I think this would still be considered a good broadcast year, actually, in terms of a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah,
I think it's just fun to tune in. Like, I feel like right now, if you watch the LCS, and I know a lot of people tune out after the game ends or whatever, but if you don't tune out and you watch the analyst desk, I feel like most times something interesting will happen. A pro player will be on. There'll be a pro to pro. There'll be like a good segment about like something in particular or a funny thing. Like I feel like, yeah, the Evan line, like you might have missed it, but like for the people who didn't miss it, like that's a new meme for them. Even like the crowd is just yelling random shit after being gone for so long. I just feel like there's always something going on.
Mark, let me ask you then. Do you think that this is the best year of the broadcast out of 2018 to 2022?
Ooh.
Dude, especially because David...
You're saying
that is an easy answer for me.
Well, so 2018 is you're including 2018, right?
Yeah, yes. And I will say, for full disclosure, I have watched every LCS countdown, every LCS post game analysis into like the 30 minutes after, barring the Bud Light League Lounge. since 2018. I mean, even in 2018, 2019, I watched it religiously anytime Optic was mentioned.
David, spring split broadcast this year was not that great. It was starting to get better, but they've made all their improvements in the summer.
Yeah, but how much do you judge something by the beginning of something rather than the totality of its start to
Judging
finish?
it over the all 5 years? You say
Yeah.
like this year. If
The
you were to
growth-
say this summer split is better than all the previous summer splits, then sure. But like, you can't say the best year of all 5 years and then be like, yeah, the past month's been great, bro. You know, like
Let me
that's
ask
the
you
issue.
this: are the highs ever as high if you don't have lows as well?
Okay, I'm gonna start doing this.
I'd rather start
No.
off where we were.
No,
and
in
ramp
the
up.
entertainment business, no. You know what? Some people just make good TV every fucking episode. You don't need to put out a stinker of an episode to enjoy. You know what I mean?
Fair.
That's a copium angle right there, David.
Favorite restaurants are the ones where I have a terrible fucking meal.
If
and
I
then the
don't
next
get
time I go there,
fucking
it's amazing.
pube in my burrito every once in a while, how can you truly appreciate the pubeless burritos?
All right. Anyway, Mark, you always got to go. Just an extra put. Anyway, so no, Mark, I want to ask you this: do you think this is the best time the broadcast has
Don't make me.
existed?
I'm not going to answer this. You're just asking me to like.
Because you fucking know that it's not the best year. I rest my goddamn case.
I plead the fifth. You can't prove I said what you think I said. I plead the fifth.
Anyway, so I do look. I think here's what I will say, David. I think we are getting back to 2018 years of hype. I think in 2018 was the best year of LCS in a very, very long time, maybe ever. It was very exciting. You got all these new players in. There was like crazy storylines going into spring. Like 100 all the franchise teams were making hard pushes to make people care about them in a way that they don't right now. Broadcast was firing on all cylinders. Like I just think that things were really good. And I that has been what I have sort of been thinking about for a long time. Was like I miss 2018, and I think we are getting there. And I'm very excited about the fact that Worlds is going to end, sort of cap off this year, because I think it could really help.
If you were to limit it to just single split, so just summer of 2022 versus, I would arguably say summer of 2018 was probably the best single season prior to this. Would you put it above?
Yeah, I think 2018 summer was better, but it's also really tough to tell. I mean, you're also looking at splits in these isolated ways. I feel like finals are like the most impactful moment of a season, and so it's like weird to be like, let's just look at these like 8 or 9 weeks. It's tough. But yeah, I think it is a very good time, and I'm excited because look, the direction that part of the reason I've been so negative is because I love this show, I love the product, I love the sport, I love the space, and like it felt like it continually was trending down, and nobody was making the changes that needed to be made to get it to a better place. And I think that is starting to change. It is starting to stop sucking, and that is what I'm been super positive about lately.
Travis, positivity started to stop sucking.
Yeah,
I can't wait for it to stop the starting of the sucking, and so that way it's just
just stop
fully stop sucking, and then I wonder what the next thing
that's
it
how
is.
I've been waiting for that for a long time, Mark. Okay, I can't. You and me both, buddy. I can't wait for the broadcast to fully stop sucking. That is going to be the moment whenever things get really good with the LCS.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Okay, David, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to Alienware and all the sponsors of Hotline League. Shout out to everybody that went through with my promise of telling one friend to go watch LCS or try League of Legends. I would challenge you from now until the next time that I come on to talk to 2 people. Keep expanding it. Eventually, we'll continue to grow the LCS. And Riot, please open the League Partnership Program to TikTok content creators.
Did you see I recruited somebody in World of Warcraft?
I did.
David? Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I didn't.
Thank you.
I didn't do that, but I did tweet out a skin code, and it got a lot of
Arc doesn't
interactions.
Talk to other humans, so like that's part of the problem.
I could try and convince my Uber drivers driving me to the LCS in the morning, I guess.
Oh, God.
But my new game plan is to just start giving away all the shit that teams give me in Riot and stuff. every LCS to make people want to hang out. Travis, you know our Grubhub cubes?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give that away. I think.
Wow.
Is that gonna get me in trouble?
Well, I'm glad we're having this discussion live on air on our Grubhub sponsored show. Well,
I'm
actually,
giving it to a fan who's gonna enjoy it.
well, no. I think you're fine. We were talking about they have an extra one, and we were gonna try to do some sort of actual formal giveaway on the show with it, and it, I think it has stuff in it. So, but yeah, we can. How are you gonna give it away, Mark? Are you gonna ship it to somebody?
No, fuck that. They have to be in the LCS parking lot for me to take it and hand it to them.
In the past, I think Riot has told me, or I think they told me that I can't do like giveaways, especially of sponsored stuff. I'm sure if it's Grubhub, it's probably fine because they sponsor LCS. But yeah,
Well, it's not a
at
giveaway.
the LCS, I mean, at the LCS.
It's not a giveaway. It's a donation drive, and it's kind of fucked up to be against charity like that. So I don't think that rule's going to apply.
Take it up with your employer. Anyway,
The employer hasn't contacted me about this, so I don't know what you're talking
David.
about.
We'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, with that, I'm actually gonna end stream, chill with the dogs for a bit, take them out, and then get ready to go to bed. So you all have a phenomenal night.